Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Hey, welcome to this episode of the Note Closure Show. As always, Scott Carson, jacked up to be with you today. We've got a very special guest who's got some expertise in a few things that I think you guys will find very valuable on this episode. So definitely pull out your notepad, get ready to take some notes. There's going to be some websites we're probably going to refer you to that are going to help you as note investors. But first, our special guest today has closed on quite a few. He is a Texas note investor from just south of Austin, and love what the guy is doing. He has bought a lot of notes. Let's just put it that way, okay? But his expertise is buying and creating land notes, and he does this all across the country, not just here in the United States, or not just here in Texas, like some other folks have.
Yeah.
But he does this in 13 different states, totaling over 2,000 acres with over 3.5 million in equity. He's built a sizable portfolio of mortgages and, a couple times, and is a major proponent of creative and seller financing, which is great. He's also a big proponent in helping investors streamline processes, and we'll talk about one of the things that he's doing that you guys can take advantage of as well. So who am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about Mr. Jake Huddleston joining us here today. What's going on, Jake? How you doing from the big thriving metropolis of Kyle, Texas this morning?
Yes, the pie capital of the state. Little did I
Oh, I
know.
forgot that. We have all sorts of things. You got the barbecue capital in Lockhart, the pie capital in Kyle. That's
The pie
cool.
capital. Yeah, my son, we just had him like 3 weeks ago here
Oh,
in Kyle.
congrats.
And at the hospital, yeah, I appreciate it. But at the hospital, they give you a little certified cutie pie from the pie shop too. It's like they're really bought in, you know?
Let's ham it up a little bit. You know what I mean? Hey, cutie pies. Let's do that.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
let's
yeah.
let's well, let's talk about how people can get a bigger piece of the pie. You know what I mean?
I like
Uh,
it. Yeah, man.
how'd you get into investing first and foremost? What's your Marvel origin story? And let's go that route, buddy. I
Sure,
know
sure.
it, but let's just share for our audience out there because I think you've got such a great background in what you're doing. It's a little bit different than what others have done as well too.
Yeah, and I appreciate it. I appreciate you having me on. And yeah, I've been following you for a long time, and you're one of the best, one of the only ones that's teaching like true, note education in the space. So just
I
want to give you
appreciate that.
kudos first and or foremost.
Thank
But
you. The check is in the mail. All right, the check is in the mail.
exactly, exactly. But yeah, for me, I mean, honestly, probably 7, 8 years ago, I had no idea what a note is.
Yeah.
You go to real estate meetups, they talk about note investing. You're like, it just sounds so foreign, sounds so abstract. But essentially, so I was going to meetups because in the Dallas Fort Worth area, I was starting to wholesale some homes and stuff on the side up there because I had started a all natural like supplement company and a gym in Fort Worth that was like way underwater at 27. I had to move back into my dad's house.
You need,
Um,
yeah. You need to get a job to be able to afford your job, is what you're
yes,
saying
it
there.
was rough. It was rough. So I'm out here like I would go do that during the day, and then I'm knocking on foreclosed homes doors and stuff. People who had their water bill turned off in the evenings. I go do that for a few hours. And I was like, man, there's got to be a better way to do this. And so I had met a guy at a meetup who was sending direct mail for wholesale and homes. And he was having a lot better success than knocking on doors. But long story short, I met with him and he was like, the wholesaling is great, but really what I do is this land investing. He had been flipping land. I said, it's just direct mail. There's no door knocking, no tenants, toilets, all that stuff. And then you also get to create your own notes. Because I was like, man, yeah, I'd love to become a note investor at some point. That sounds awesome, right? That's what all these successful people are doing. He's like, well, honestly, I mean, you can create your own notes doing this too. So um, essentially, I met him. He showed me kind of the ropes with land investing. I got started doing that. I ended up having to get a medical device sales job that I did for 4 years that helped get me out of the hole. But alongside that, I was building my land and note portfolio at the same time to where
Can I
eventually,
throw
yeah,
can I throw something in there? I
yeah,
know a lot, and I really I think what you just said needs to be heard by folks in a good way because there's a lot of people out there struggling right now. Can we all
yeah.
agree to that? You know what I mean?
Oh,
I
yeah.
think some people get down on themselves unless what is it? It was a something I was watching last night. Oh, it was F1. We went and saw the movie F1 with Brad Pitt.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And it's a great movie, absolutely
Yeah.
awesome movie, long movie, but it's absolutely great. And there's a scene in the movie where one of the girls or one of the guys on his team is really down on herself for messing up the pit stop or something like that.
Yeah.
And Brad Pitt's character goes, "Hey, don't talk shit to yourself. don't rag on yourself. There's enough other people that'll do that for you. You don't have to do it
Oh yeah.
yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And while a lot of folks are struggling out there, some people are like, oh, I got to move back in my parents, or I got to get a job so that I can afford to do what I really want to do. Look, there's nothing to be embarrassed about that out there, folks. I mean, we all have to do what you have to do,
Yeah.
and take pride in the side hustle. You know what I mean? That's some people just give it up and forget about their dreams, or sometimes you just got to put it on standby while you pay bills. And so kudos for sharing that. Not everybody always talks about that. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
a beautiful thing.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it's humbling. It's humbling when you
Yeah.
got to move back into your folks' place at 27. And luckily I met my wife at that time, so I knew that she liked me for me, actually, you know. But
Hey,
yeah, it was
yeah,
like,
you want to go back to my? No, no, no. We're
yeah,
going back to your place.
yeah,
Not, not mom and
come meet
dad.
my roommates. Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's
it
all right. She
was
loves you. That's true love, buddy. Yeah.
exactly. So it's a humbling experience, but yeah, no, I appreciate you saying that. And that's why I'm always transparent. I think because really what I want to help people do as well, when I first left my initial job to start that company at like 23, it was, follow your passion, follow the American dream. If you just aligned with what you love doing, it's all going to work out. Well, honestly, that's really,
Straight up Gary Vaynerchuk
oh,
propaganda right there, isn't it?
exactly. It's so immature. And I see
Yeah.
people doing that these days, and there's just a much better way to do it sustainably. And that's what I did the second go around, where I could leave my high, six-figure job, and I haven't had to look back since because I did it in there was a process to it. So that's really what I want to help people do too, because I think we're so quick to like celebrate these people who are just leaving their toxic job and this and that and following their dreams. And I'm just like, man, I hope you got a plan in place.
Well, that's one of the things I always talk about is it's good to build a runway. Don't quit your
Yes.
job overnight. I mean, unless you've got a ton of money. We've got a student who just quit her job of 20 years, but she's got, a couple
Wow.
million in retirement
Jeez.
and stuff like that. And she built a runway. And we've helped a
Yeah,
lot of students out there like, hey, listen, if you want to do this, well, let's just plan that 12 or 24 month and make sure and implement it to go to town. So that's phenomenal that you did that.
exactly.
And it's always nice coming from a six-figure job because you're making somebody, not having to pay for rent and food and board because mom's making your, clothes, washing her clothes and feeding you every night. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Stash this away.
So when you
Yeah.
started getting into the land space,
hmm
how are you finding those deals first and foremost without giving away any of your secret sauce?
Yeah.
And then kind of your process for marketing or creating the paper side.
Sure. So land, I was looking for things within like 2 hours of a major metro. And I specialize kind of in just like recreational rural tracks. Um, and so my mentor, he called it the bass boat property. You're looking for something not where like a bass boat, you can go out bass fishing on it, but a guy who can go out and he's going to spend 20 to 50 grand on this bass boat. He has that disposable income to spend on, 10 to 20 acres where he can go, goof around on the weekends, hunt, fish, ATV, all that stuff. So that's kind of what I was looking for. And I've done that across there. Those properties are in every state, And so I started out like in Utah and I did in Arizona and some in Texas, a lot in Oklahoma. And I've kind of, instead of going wide, is what I did initially, doing direct mail, casting a wide net. And I did that for years. My strategy since has evolved, a lot less quantity, more quality. And I've done the texting, I've done the cold calling. That's a they all have their headaches. They all have their
Yep.
pros and cons. But so yeah, starting out it was a lot of direct mail, then text messages, and then here recently it's just been a lot of on market deals, honestly, who I've been
Yeah,
finding them.
people are
Yeah.
looking to sell off stuff that they can't afford or they got to pay the bills these days. And so
Yeah.
when you talk about the bass pro, you like are targeting like stuff that surrounds like a lake or a pond or something like that, is what you mean by that? Or
Oh,
just
sorry.
people
Yeah.
that have acreage basically?
Yeah, people that have, so if you're looking at the end avatar, like who's going to buy this property? It's a guy who can go out and afford a bass boat,
Yeah,
is
okay.
what
All
he
right.
was saying. Yeah. So instead of he's got that disposable income to pay you, 50 grand cash for that property, or, it's going to be 5, 10 grand down. He's going to finance the other 40 with you
Sure.
over
Okay.
5 to 10 years. Yeah.
Nice. And now
Yeah.
for that's the exit side of that. Now on the purchase side, is there like a price point that you look for where, hey, you could pick this up and either split it off into a few smaller acres, or just turn around and maybe owner finance it at twice what you're getting it at, or twice what the value is? What's kind of your without, like I
Yeah.
said, without giving away secret sauce? If you say I don't want to tell you that, that's fine, but kind of give
There's
kind of your philosophy behind it, or your numbers, if you don't
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah, there's no secret sauce, that's for sure. And it's like I said, it's evolved over the years. Everything works from flipping desert squares to, buy for 500 and you're selling for 1500. I've done stuff like that where we bought a whole bunch of back tax properties in Arkansas for 50, literally $50, and then you
Yep.
sell them on eBay for 500. Now, I'm not a proponent of that totally, but that's where I started. Okay.
I know a guy
So
that did a lot of that. He's had like 500 properties that he bought
yeah,
like cheap, like, and Arkansas land is
yeah,
cheap. You know what I mean?
yes,
And he sells them for like 5,000. He's just doing it all through Stripe,
yeah, yeah.
self-servicing. And I'm like, ooh, that's
It's
that might, I don't know if that's going to work if the CFPP is not around anymore. But
exactly. It could come back to get you. And so yeah, but I'm just saying I've done that. But really early on, all I was looking to was like double my money.
yeah,
Whether that was most of the time I was spending probably like 20 grand on a property, you're hoping to sell for 40 to 50. I had no idea at the time for the first 4 or 5 years how to even subdivide a property using a survey. And I think about how much money I left on the table then. And so over the last 2 years, what I've really honed in on is finding stuff on market that's in between like $100,000 to $200,000 like purchase price. Hard to find in Texas, but
yeah,
so that's what I've done a lot in Oklahoma. And I split like, for example, I bought 80 acres in Oklahoma, $204,000 purchase price. I split that up into 4 different tracts and then sold that off. The total exit on that was like 370, and you create some good notes out of it. So that's more so what I've leaned towards. And I try to find 3 to 4 of those a year. If I can do that 4 times a year, once a quarter, that's awesome. Doesn't always pan out that way, but that's really what I'm looking for.
yeah. I mean, that's a nice chunk, and then you're obviously building some probably decent cash flow
Yeah.
along the way too. Are you? Another thing too. Are you? I'd probably be willing to bet you probably can get some of these sellers to owner finance the property to you as well in some cases, or no?
Yep. We've done some of that, and so we have wrapped some notes. I mean, my rule is I always ask for seller financing, and I would
Yep.
encourage anybody who's out there purchasing property, be it commercial, be it land, anything. If you're an investor, always ask for seller financing because you just never know. Like I'm working with a guy right now. He's got 74 acres south of Seguin that he wants a lot of money for, rightfully so. But my thing is, I can get better terms with him on land than I can at the banks. Every
Yeah.
time I've ever gone to a bank, they are still wanting 25 to 35% down. You're still like 10% interest rate because it's just vacant land. And then if I'm going to subdivide it, they want a release rate on each lot of like 110 to 150%. I'm like, God Lord, I much rather that's why I love seller financing on
So
my side,
explain
man.
that. Can you explain what that release rate means to you again? I know it's
Gotcha.
jargon for you and me, but our
Yeah, yeah,
listeners out there
yeah.
probably don't know what that means.
Yeah. So if I have those 80 acres and I split that up 4 ways into 20-acre lots, and I've taken out a loan on that, say just for simple math, one of those 20 acres has $10,000 on it owed to the bank.
Yep.
In order to give clean and clear title to the to the new buyer,
Buyer.
yep, you got to clear that lien, right? And so in order for them to release that, they're going to charge you an extra 10 to a lot of times with banks, it's up to 50% on that $10,000 that you owe. So you're going to pay them, yeah, 1100 to, I'm sorry, 11,000 to $15,000 essentially over what you owe on it, in order to release that lien. So that's why I've actually never taken a bank loan yet on land
That's
personally.
kind of like that's a pretty steep vig, if you ask me.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Are these
Yeah.
Italian bankers out of like,
No, no.
that's crazy. Oh, we're gonna
So
charge you. You owe 10 grand. We're gonna charge you 15 to
yeah.
release the lien. Oh
Now,
my God, that's
now,
not very
yeah.
business friendly at all, is it?
No. Now, caveat, I'm not Scott Carson. I don't have the banking relations and I haven't talked to, hundreds of banks yet. This is just the handful that I have talked to
Sure,
that I'm
but it's
like,
kind of normal
yeah,
practice though in a lot of cases. And you're
yeah,
not lying about that. I had a conversation with a guy a bank actually up in Salado, 200
Yeah.
acres. They foreclosed on it.
Wow.
And they gave a comp of like 225 million for it. And they wanted 17 million, 2 million down, 15 to finance at like 5 to 6% and
Oh
stuff like that.
God.
And I said, would you go in? I mean, because it's right off I-35. I mean,
Yeah.
literally, it's not even a mile off of 35. Um, and I think it's like Quail, and there's like part of it's got some house. I said, well, would you be interested in somebody coming in, subdividing it up, and then selling off, 10-acre tracts? Like, no, we don't
Yeah.
necessarily really want to do that. If we did that, we'd have to do all these, extra stuff. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you're not, you're gonna end up holding that property for a while,
Yeah.
for sure, versus getting it off your books,
Yeah.
So I'm glad
Yeah.
that you explained that
Jeez,
out there
man.
for everybody. Yeah, it's kind of crazy out there. But that's if you get somebody that owner finances it to the property to you, you can probably say, hey, I'm going to pay, getting this paid off. I'm going to pay you 10 grand towards the overall amount,
Yep.
and then be able to have that partial release. Correct?
Exactly. Yeah. So that's what I try to do. Doesn't always work out, and not everybody wants to go for seller financing. So then you really have to get creative, and it's either bringing in partners or if you have a note portfolio, I know you can hypothecate your loans.
Yep.
Again, I've not been able to do that yet, so maybe you can tell me how to be better about that to use that money. Um, or I've essentially done like a DIY hypothecation where I just take a hard money loan and essentially I know I'm leveraging my um, income from my notes to pay that hard money loan off in the time that I flip the land. So
Well, but the thing that's great about that is that you're buying the stuff at a price that gives you some of that flexibility to do that. You know what
yeah,
I mean? And I'm sure if and obviously if the numbers don't pan out, you don't do the deal. But a lot of people out there, especially the land, actually land is the biggest asset out there that is owner financed,
yeah,
realistically out there. So people are open to it. They understand. Plus, people have held onto this land for a while. It's appreciated. They don't necessarily want to take the tax burden of full sell off, and that's
yeah.
a capital gains tax. If they can do a deferred sales trust or do an owner finance deal, it's going to delay the capital gains tax on that profit for sure.
That's true. And that's what I try to tell them and pitch it as. I call it like a tax advantaged offer, for
Yeah,
you.
I
Like, hey
like
man,
that. Ooh, tax advantaged offer. I can remember that
yeah.
one. I'm gonna give you credit for it 3 times, and then I'm gonna
Okay.
steal it. Okay, Jake.
That's fine. It's all yours, man. This is your show. We're just living here.
We're just living in
We're
my.
just living it.
So that's good. So you've done this in 13 states. So biggest tract of land you've ever bought?
Um, I bought 160 in Nevada at one time. Not very impressive. You go out there and be like, who would want this? But uh,
Hey,
yeah.
that's a pretty good chunk, out in the middle of nowhere or outside of Las Vegas, where there's a lot of dead bodies buried, or
Yeah,
the biggest little land tract just south of Reno.
yeah, exactly. It was in gosh, man, I'd have to even look up the county again. It's been a few years, but it was up kind of in the northeast part of the state.
Okay.
It did have some mountains around it, and I sold it to a group of guys from Mexico that had come up and they wanted to establish a ranch. They were going to fence the whole thing and raise horses on it and all that. So I was like, man,
Wow.
more power to you.
More power to you, vaqueros. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's really, really cool. So you've
Yeah.
been doing this stuff and doing some things. What's been the biggest issue for you doing that kind of stuff? I mean, as a note investor, and you've been doing this for what, 8, 9 years now, or how
Yeah.
longer?
Yeah. We started in, I mean, I first started land invest like 2017.
Okay.
I didn't start carrying notes until like 2019.
Okay.
And I built a note portfolio, yeah, a couple times over because I've kind of had to cash out to keep buying land at times. So I wish I could have been smarter about that. So that's what I would say was probably the hardest part for me in the growth, continuing to grow while your acquisition funds dwindle. So you get to like at one point in time, my notes were bringing in probably like 14 grand a month. However, I had like, 5 grand in my bank account to do anything with. So you're like,
Right.
what do you do? So that's probably been the hardest piece for me is just continuing to sustainably grow while not being worried you're going to end up in the red.
Right. Well, and we talked about that too when you originally reached out to me. It was like, okay,
Yeah.
raising capital is always one of the biggest things that investors struggle with. I mean, we all get
Yeah.
happy when we're closing deals and got stuff, but it's one of the things that, besides just looking for deals constantly, we almost always constantly have to be looking for, raising capital and talking with people. And can I ask you a question? When you sold
Yeah.
those notes, when you sold them at a given time, uh, what's the normal kind of terms? Yeah, 20-year, 10% interest rate, 5-year balloon, or what kind of been your
Yeah.
normal terms on land notes?
On mine, I'm looking for, I call it at least a 10, 10, 10.
Yeah.
I want 10% down is a minimum. I do 10 years. I'll finance shorter, but a few years ago I had a lot of 5-year notes and I wanted to start extending this out, so I upped that to now I'll do 10 to 20-year notes or longer on a bigger piece of property. So 10% down, 10 years, and I charge a 10% interest rate minimum.
Nice.
So that's kind of my thing, yeah.
Now, are you using RMLOs for this, or just financing to entities so you don't have to go around? You can get around the RMLO aspect of it.
In my younger days, yeah, I never used an RMLO. So I've wised up, listening to you guys and other people that that's really the safest bet. You really shouldn't be originating your own loans just for, regulation purposes and these things.
Sure.
And the guys that I now own a fund who are buying a lot of land notes, they used to buy them at the closing table, but because of reasons why you need to use an originator, their new requirements, like they're only going to buy it if it's seasoned 3 months
Yeah.
because they want that separation too. So, and you can spend, $500 from what I see, get a good RMLO and put that on your borrower to pay, right?
Yeah. Make it just part of your closing costs
Yeah.
for sure. And then selling this stuff, selling it's performing. I'm sure you've sold some stuff that's got some seasoning, others that have been new. Kind of price point for folks out there. I know it varies depending on what your buyers are looking for yield wise,
Yeah.
but kind of as a sale to value or sale to UPB percentage, whatever you kind of seen for your stuff.
Yeah. So the guys in the land space are spoiled. When we talk about we're
Yield.
used to 100%, on our flips and um, on this side of things, they want probably 18 to 22% yield when you're
Yeah,
selling to them. You can get down to 15 if it's like somebody put a lot down. They got good credit history. You did do an RMLO. You got good paperwork. It's not a contract for deed that's an unrecorded. It's a mortgage or a deed of trust.
sure.
But yeah, most of the time you're going to sell your paper 15 to 20%, I would say, as a yield
Mhm.
to the investor. Yeah.
That's not bad. And then
Yeah.
that leaves open to finding IRA investors. They're looking for 10 to 12 as a marketing piece too.
Yeah.
In a
Yeah. I
lot of
remember you
cases,
telling
so
me about that. I need
we
to,
need to spend a little. We need some coaching on that a little bit, but that's okay.
yeah. Yeah.
And you talk about the. I mean, I know it's been all over the place, anywhere from a single lot to 160 acres. But your bread and butter, what you really like to sell on, is what,
Yeah.
10, 20 acres that you see people buying the most. Going
10
back
to
to
10
Mr.
to
Bass,
20
but
acres.
10 to 20
Yeah.
acres.
10
Okay,
to 20. Yeah.
cool,
10 to
very
20,
nice.
50 to 100 grand, you
Hmm.
know, nothing crazy.
No, but that makes it affordable for a big buyer's list for a lot of
Yeah.
that stuff.
Yeah. And it's all location dependent. I mean, you're familiar with South Texas, so I once bought 90 acres around Alice, like closer to San Diego. And
Yeah, I know that San Diego, Texas is definitely not San Diego, California, ladies and
that's
gentlemen.
true. Disclaimer, yeah, for everybody out
Exactly.
there.
The Alice mascot for Alice High School is the Coyotes because there's nothing but
Yeah.
coyotes out there. But a little history about Alice is that there was a kid there, Chris Brazel, who was a wide receiver who set a national record for most receiving yards
Yeah.
for a high school kid back in the day. So I once dated a girl from Alice for a short period of time, and I'm from
Nice.
Ingleside. So yeah,
There you
yeah, I know
go,
that area
man.
very, very well, buddy.
Yeah. So as you know, there wasn't, I had a theory that I thought people down there would want 10 to 15 acre tracts. So I split this whole thing up. I sat on it. That was my longest piece of land I ever sat on. And I ended up selling the whole thing together, to one guy just because it's just, hunting land out there. So that's stuff you learn along the way, but yeah.
Nothing but you, coyotes, and the jackrabbits basically for you out there. But
Yeah.
I mean, you see that stuff. I mean, a lot of there's, if you especially go like West Texas out there past Fort Stockton and the neck of the woods, you
Yeah.
can
Yeah. Yeah.
buy 100 acres for $1,000 an acre, but there ain't nothing out there. You know what I mean?
Nope.
You're not even gonna get a cell service out there
Nope.
in a lot of cases. So it's good. Um, Now having all these loans and servicing, how did you manage this all? Did you put it with like a servicer like I hate to say the name, FCI or something like that, or you try to self-manage it, or you just bang your. I mean, when I think we first met, you had a full head, full afro there. Now you're bald. So did you pull your hair out from servicing all
Exactly.
these deals, or what, buddy?
Exactly. Man, I can't imagine me with afro. That'd be awesome. But yeah, so we started initially again, anytime you start something, I've just been a fan of like just start it and figure it out. But you
Bootstrap it, baby. Yeah.
yeah, so I started with something called like Moon Clerk, which just allowed us to process payments, and that really hurts you at scale. It's not very professional for your borrowers. It doesn't look good for you as a business, especially if you're going to do a lot of this. And so I did move to a kind of a software at one point in time to help manage them. And then I have had a few at different servicers, which I know, depending on your loan, you probably need an actual third party servicer. I totally get that. For land and some other stuff, if you're doing this on your own or a small portfolio, I did not love the experience I had with them.
Amen to
Um,
that, because most people don't want to deal with smaller portfolios to start off with.
yeah,
And you're stuck at whenever they get around to you, or if you get any service at all,
yes.
versus emails that take 2 days or 3 days to get back. So you're speaking. I mean, we did an episode recently on how to pick a good servicer because they all suck. you know, yeah,
Oh man, I have to listen to that because yeah, that's been my experience. Is like some uh, their user interface is normally pretty terrible. One of them didn't even have anywhere I could log in and see if the borrower paid for the month or not. They would just mail me a statement that I'd get 2 or 3 weeks later, maybe. Um, and then, yeah, they're just super slow to move on anything. So if you ever do need to like nudge a borrower to pay, or they're getting behind or default, or you're ready to foreclose, you're still managing them. You
yep.
know, hey, can we move forward with the notice? Can we move forward with the foreclosure? Can we move forward with the sale? And it just drove me nuts. And so, um, yeah, I started using a few years ago a service called Terra Notes. That was it took some of the pain points of some of the other like software that was out there and allows you to kind of DIY it yourself, but on a much more professional, user-friendly level for you and your borrowers. So I was really happy with that. And yeah, it kind of came to a point where the guy who founded that, JT, who's also a land investor, he wanted to exit and just focus on his land stuff and his real estate investments. And so the opportunity got brought to me to actually purchase Terra Notes. And so I was so happy with the service and everything he had built to that point that I actually acquired that. Um, and some creative financing and notes might have been involved in that purchase too. So
But that's good.
yeah,
There's nothing wrong with that. That's
yeah,
businesses are bought on terms a lot of times, for sure.
exactly. And that's what I want people to know too. These notes you're creating, because when I initially thought, man, all of my net worth is just on this Excel sheet. It's all on this paper. I got $1.5 million in unpaid balance here right now, but yeah, like I told you, my bank account's like nothing. And you feel like I heard somebody say you can't eat, equity flakes. It's like and I felt that, but I want people to know there's more note buyers out there than there are land buyers. Like these are very actually liquid assets. They're a lot more liquid than the land that I try to sell. So just I try to rest in that now when I look at it, it's like this is just a savings account essentially. This isn't going anywhere. So
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, is it's good stuff there, but then putting it in the spot that makes that note marketable too for you.
yeah,
One of the biggest things isn't just a spreadsheet showing payments, it's having that software that tracks that stuff, that can kind of help you automate some of these things, the platform to log in and be able to verify UPB, verify
yeah,
payoffs, late fees, all that good stuff is one of
yep.
the most valuable tools you can have. I mean, what we've done for years is we wouldn't rely on the servicers. We would just basically have them board the loan, and then we would self-manage it. And we just hired
Uh,
I hired a servicing gal who was actually my previous portfolio manager, because she was getting ready to leave. I was like, don't leave, come work for me. And you understand how to read all these
yeah,
portfolios. You've talked with the bar, let's have you come aboard. And that's what I did, but that's not for everybody when you're starting off. So let me pull up your
no,
website here, because I
that's
think
smart.
it's oh, where is it at here? I just had it up here a second ago. Let me go down here. The website is terranotes.com.
Yep.
And I just clicked over on the wrong one here. Let me go over here. Boom. Made me mess around with AI this morning. I
Coming for
just
us
had it
all.
here. It is. It totally is, brother. Okay, let me just do this. Here we go. So I got the website pulled. You see it there, Jake?
Yep, that's it.
So walk us through this here. So you decided, hey, I like the service. I have an opportunity to take this over. It's been helped me, and that's one of the great things I love, that you're a note investor. You know how note investors think. I can't tell you the number of times I've been pitched on a software from an engineer who isn't an investor. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And they have
I get
all
it.
these massive things, or they have all these things they want to do. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. This slows me down. How can we make this work in
Yeah.
fashion? So talk about it. What are some of the advantages of it? You talked about starting off with some things, what makes it easy for
Yeah.
folks out here in a lot of cases. So
Yeah, and this was built by note investors with everybody's feedback like in real time. And so over the last handful of years, we've taken everybody's feedback as we built this out and integrated it. And so this is just the current integration we have right now, but we're continuing to add and build to it, which I love, based off of everybody who uses our platform. Um, and so it's like I said, I think it's extremely user friendly. Here in a bit, I can probably show you the back end. It's just like adding a loan, onboarding a loan, bringing your borrower on, getting them to add their payment method, getting them on scheduled and recurring payments. Obviously that's note investor's best friend is just having them set it and forget it. We
mhm.
really incentivize that throughout their whole onboarding process. We have all of your reports for you. Like we can create 1098s at the end of the year for your borrowers. So that's just a one-click process.
Nice.
Um, yeah, like you said, you're using team members. If you have somebody that's going to manage this for you, it's easy to add team members on here. Like myself, I've had partners on loans where we went in on a property together and it got sold on seller financing, and now we got to split that payment. So we have payment sharing with partners that you can
That's
do out of.
huge.
Yeah.
That's huge, especially if you've got IRA investors funding your deals, being able to, send
Oh
those
yeah.
payments directly and track that stuff is really good. What's the idea? And I know the answer to it, so that here comes the softball. But what's great is this software is good for the new investor who's picked up their first loan or first couple of loans and
Yeah.
growing a portfolio, right? Because that's always the most difficult thing is once you've started using something, trying to transfer it to something that's more fashioned or trying to merge all these fields. But you've got this price that I think is just it's no nonsense, complete common sense pricing in a lot of cases. You want to
Yeah.
talk
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah, as of right now, we have one loan is totally free. So if you want to just try us out, you want to onboard your one loan with us, see how it works, that's free to do. ACH processing on that is only going to be $2 a transaction. We see a lot of companies out there that are charging,
Eight,
uh,
$9 for an ACH, yeah.
yeah, where it's like a percentage based deal. And our thing is like, man, ACH is so cheap. Like, why do we need to? We don't need to make, these $3 on this transaction or whatever. That's not going to make or break us. So we try to give that back to you and just provide more value. Um, and then yeah, as you can see here, ideally it just scales with you and your business. So as your loans go up, as your needs go up for partners and team members or um, all those things, as your loans go up, your portfolio grows, it just grows with you. And then that price per loan really becomes pretty non-existent. Especially one of the tips I got early on was like, just put a service fee on there for your loan too. And then this is paid, for you.
You can, yep, definitely. If you're buying owner finance notes, make sure they, charge them a flat $35 fee for servicing in a lot of cases to help out
Yeah.
with that. Now this is the software. You're still going to want to have your loans hanging with a servicer, correct, Jake? Or what aspect of it? You're not doing legal side work out on this, is that correct? Are you focused more on performing or non-performing? There are some things that I think the questions that probably people would ask about that. You know
Sure,
what I
sure.
mean?
Yeah, so you don't have to keep this with the servicer. Ideally, this is built for people who are going to be like servicing their own loans. Like we say, you are the servicer. So, and what that means though is like if your borrower emails me, I'm just forwarding that to you. I can't touch that. We are not the servicer. We will not help them. We will not talk to them. You are our customer. And so I will help you as the lender, whatever problems you're having. But this is for you to service your own portfolio. Now, if you have anything that still needs to be legally serviced, with somebody, you can still do that. But this is built in mind for people who wanted to service their own portfolio themselves.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. There are servicing companies out there that allow you just to do a flat boarding with them, or it's called client managed and
Yeah.
stuff like that, where it's still like that's what we did. I mean, it was cheaper paying the $40 per month or the $20 per month if it was performing. just to have them boarded with that. We handle all the stuff in-house, the conversations, and then the legal side, we would just have our attorneys handling that aspect of
Yeah,
things when it came to foreclosing.
that's smart.
Yeah. But that's great. I
So,
mean, like you said, zero for your first loan, try it out, get it on. Basically, 5 loans is $8 a loan on average, therefore, then it drops to $5 a loan. No, that's not $5 a loan. It's actually less, 480 a loan.
yeah.
And then you got unlimited for $135 a month, which is phenomenal. Now, are there you said it'll automatically send out 1098s. Um, um, and then it's availability for people to obviously to pay on the website, or you send a payment link that gets transferred to their account, or does it go to your account and you forward it to them, or how's that work?
Yeah, so your borrowers will get invite to their loan on here, just like if they had a mortgage with Rocket
Any other lender?
Mortgage or
Yep.
somebody, or you have your car loan with Wells Fargo or something. You're gonna get invite to your loan. They're gonna log in, see all their loan details there. You can upload your loan paperwork there, so that's always there for them. And then they're gonna add their bank account. We do have a partnership with a credit card processor who will do real estate transactions. So
Nice.
they can, if your borrowers want to pay and you want to accept credit cards, you can. So they will pay you through this platform. And yeah, essentially it all happens, you know, in a click. But yeah, it goes, the ACH transaction goes from your borrower to essentially a holding account, and then it'll go to you. And that takes that 5 to 7 days, as
Yep.
any ACH transaction would. But yeah, so your borrowers can do everything in here. Like I had a grandma who seller financed a home purchase to her grandkids, and I forget which one or whatever, but she wanted to give them a professional servicing feel so
Sure.
that they can log in, like pay their mortgage like they would an actual mortgage. So, we have people doing that. We have a lot of hard money lenders on here who are lending out billions of dollars that they just use this just to check their hard money loans out, plus land, plus mobile homes. And I mean, technically you could use it for, boat loans and car loans, but yeah. So anything with the loan, yeah, we got you covered.
That's phenomenal. Do you want to jump in and walk us through a little bit, like maybe just how the platform
Yeah,
looks
man.
once you're logged in, so people can kind of see
Let's
how the ease of it is?
see. For sure. Let me this one. Okay.
Okay, there we go.
So this is what the dashboard looks like if you are a lender. So you can log in here. We have a bunch of just metrics to start. So on this is just a test account here, but you got it'll show you number of active loans, how many of those are current. So yeah, our test borrowers are pretty terrible payers, suppose, I guess.
But
But
that's good. See, I always talk about it's performing notes are great. A monkey can handle performing notes. It's when the shit hit
yeah,
the fan when they stop paying you need to know about, and that's where the
yes.
biggest headaches come in is people don't expect that and they don't know what to do next. And so this is great. I'm glad that you're showing this. This is awesome.
Yeah, man. I'm going to pick your brain more on non-performing stuff too at some point, because it's where the headaches are is where the opportunity is. That's
Yep.
what they say. So, yeah, so this is just kind of like a snapshot of your portfolio. It'll show you what your average note length is, your total unpaid balance, on all your loans you got out, how many monthly payments you're suspected to get that month, how much you've actually got so far. And then just some more charts down here, like historical loan balances, when you're about to find out when you are going to run out of money, out of loans with the future loan balances, your average monthly payment, projected future payments, and then your percent of breakdown, like of interest versus your fees you charge, stuff like that.
Sure.
So just different, data points for you initially.
Nice.
Um, we make it pretty easy. You can see here all of your loans. So you can filter by status. You can check into which ones are late, default, current, etc. This is kind of your loan details page when you do log in. And we make this pretty editable for you as a lender. So some of the other softwares that we dealt with, you had to email the support guy if you wanted to do anything. You wanted to add a fee, you want to give them a grace period, anything like that. You had to email them, and then maybe 3 days later they get back to you and say it was done or not. So like I said, we made this very DIY. So you can come in here, edit, and just add, fees if you need, transaction fees. If your escrow changes, like on your property taxes, you can come in here and add your property tax, for the year, divided by 12, add that stuff in. Um, you can view your all the payment history here, and then scheduled payments. You'll see if they are on recurring payments, essentially, which is again on the borrower side. This is what we heavily incentivize them to do.
Yeah.
Not required, just like it's not required with anything else that we all pay on, but we really want them to. And then email history. So this is something like this is all the emails that they get from TerraNotes, like automatically. And then you can click in here and see if they've opened it, if they've clicked on the link, make sure it was
Nice.
delivered, all that. So some of these, this is a little different here, but they're getting ones that like, hey, your loan's due in 3 days. Hey, your loan's due immediately. Hey, your loan's now late. You had a late fee added. So they're getting all that. And so you can always log in here and see that they're actually getting those.
And can you go in there and manually send like an email to them as well too? If like, hey, they're in a hurricane zone or something like that. Hey, just reaching out to see how you're doing. You need to update your insurance that's on file.
Oh yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah, we don't have email from within the platform at this point.
Okay.
You can kind of hit an easy resend here, but yeah, we'd have to like grab their email and email them that separately.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, maybe that's something we could eventually
Could
build
just be an
out.
alert that maybe you have an auto form. Hey, you need to update your insurance on file. Something
Yeah,
like that.
that's a good feature request, Scott. We're gonna have to add that in, man.
There you go. Well, hey, just trying to help.
I like it. So we try to make adding new loans easy. For me, if you got like the 10 10 10 stuff,
Yeah.
you can hit duplicate existing loan. If you got one that's exact loan terms as another, bring that on. If you got your stuff in an Excel sheet, like you already got a portfolio, you can import your loans using the CSV.
That's nice.
Yeah, these are the downloads you got. So you can download all of your loan data, all of the recent payments you've got, your tax report for you at the end of the year, how much interest you've earned, or your 1098s for your borrowers.
Do you have
Um,
where I'm sure you probably have a column where it shows what the value of the property is or the land is too, as far as or no?
so right now, that's probably something we should add. We do have something in here like a sales price
Yep,
initially. Um, like whenever you add a loan, you can add in your sales price, which you know, tells you kind of what the market value is. And you can put in your own cost basis as well
sure.
that's used for that tax report. But yeah, we should probably add that just for, whenever you go to sell a loan, you're looking at the, um, marketability of that. We should
Hmm.
probably just call that out a little more.
Do you also have a spot where people can upload a picture of the property too, so they have an idea that they're doing a report? It's just a flat still image or Zillow or uploaded image of the file. I know you're dealing with land, so a lot of green photos, but even if it's a property in there where they can upload a photo of the property.
Mm, I like that too, because that would tell you, especially like on this all loans page, if you want to see like a little map or something.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just
that'd be
something
cool.
where maybe it was on the UPB or the investor report or something like that. Hey, here's a
Yeah.
picture of the property, stuff like that.
I
So,
like that. Yeah, we'll have to add that. That's right. Yeah, right now we just have like you can upload, the loan docs essentially
sure.
to it. So you can put a picture there, but it's not going to populate like you're thinking. So
No, I mean
that's
that,
yeah.
that was the next question. Place to upload all the
Yeah.
loan documents or the statements that we get, stuff like that, where it's a contract for deed where we're getting bills and stuff like that's being passed
Yeah.
over, or
Uh,
and then any lender advance stuff where we can upload those documents to show that proof, which is good.
yeah.
Good.
I like that. Yeah. And we make like this is the future, amortization schedule here.
Yep.
Like I said, if you want to go in and give somebody a grace period, say, hey, for this next month, their required payment is going to be zero. Now, this doesn't add any payments onto the end. It just reworks the amortization. So, like their next payment or two is going to be more interest, essentially. So, it's not
Okay.
going to add anything to payments to the loan. But, we do stuff like this, or you could take out late fees or transaction fees or whatever if you needed to. So, we try to make it because, as you know, everybody thinks notes is passive income. I always say it's a lot more passive than a lot of other things, but there's still a lot to manage. Your
Yep.
borrowers are going to be constantly hitting you up. They have a lot of life that they're going through, especially if you're with them for 10, 15, 20 years. they're going to come on hard times. They're going to lose jobs. They're going to have deaths in the family, and you're going to have to work with them as much as you want to. But we want to give you that ability to make it easy to do that, if you'd like. So,
Yep. No, I mean, this is great. I love it. I think it's a smart, easy to use. There's a few things obviously, but those are
yeah,
revolutions. You're working hard. I mean, you're doing a great job already updating the platform and stuff like that. And um,
trying, man.
yeah, well, one day at
Trying.
a time, sweet Jesus, right? One day at a time.
Exactly. Yeah. Technically, she's still a baby in tech years. So,
Well, that's good. That's good. So you're doing this. You've already got quite a few clients. You said hard money lenders are using this.
yeah.
Land notes. That's awesome. It's not something that's brand new that's not been used. This is being used by a lot of folks in the note industry already, like that guy. So that's why I wanted to bring it on for you because
Yeah, man.
we had a good conversation and some of the research I was doing from other folks. I talked to a few of your clients and
Oh,
everybody just
appreciate it.
raved. Everybody just raved about it. Okay.
Awesome.
So that's the good thing about that there for you. And if you guys are wanting to check it out, you can go to terranotes.com / we close notes will be the tracking link, I guess you
Yeah, yeah,
will
yeah.
that easy enough.
Yeah, we
Uh,
can do that for you.
that's easy enough there for folks. So yeah, terranotes.com / we close notes to get your sign up, test it out, run with it. What's the rest of your look like? You got any big goals for you, Jake? Are you trying to hit a client number or a number of loans on the platform? What are some of your goals you're trying to accomplish? Maybe our students and network can help you achieve.
Yeah, man. Right now we have just over like 850 active users on the platform.
Nice.
I would love to see that, over the next year or two. I know there's a large number of note investors out there that we don't have never touched, never heard of us. And so I don't have a specific, hey man, I want, 1,500 people on this platform by this time. I want to keep making it a better product,
Yeah.
taking all of the feature requests that people are giving us, implementing those. And then I know just with time, people will come. They'll find us. And so I just want to make the best product that's out there, that's available. It was something that I needed, back when I needed it and didn't have it. And so now I just want to be that for people that need it now. So yeah.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. I've got a buddy of mine who's financing tax liens here in Texas is looking for a better platform.
Oh man.
And yeah, he's got quite a few he's looking at. So got a couple million in loans he's financing. So I'll definitely make sure to make the introduction because
That's awesome.
yeah, it'd be a good introduction there for him and then another guy as well for you. But yeah, I got an idea. Let's put a
Yeah.
challenge out here. You're at 850 or whatever. Let's try to get you to 1,000 clients by the end of the year. All right.
You're the man.
1,000 clients by the end of the year. If you're listening to this, take advantage of it. Guys, I mean, phenomenal pricing. You test it out, mess with it, whether you got your one-off notes or you've got a portfolio. It's still a lot cheaper to put something in place there for you to start tracking. So many people out there self-servicing stuff, doing it on a spreadsheet, and you're getting so much trouble doing that.
Yeah.
And does not look professional. Like I had a guy that reached out, his dad had been self-servicing like 10 loans and his dad passed away and he had no payment history. The
Mm,
paper wasn't even written correctly. That's
mm,
another thing I want to ask you.
yeah.
Um, well, you may not want to do this. Do you have like, if people are going to owner finance a note or do something like that, do you have templates or forms for them to do that? Or you like, no, go do that with your attorney?
Yeah. I don't know if I want to take that on
That's
yet. I
enough
mean,
said. Go hire an attorney to help you originate your stuff. Or title companies can help out with that as well
yeah.
too for you a lot
I
of
mean,
times.
me personally, I'll willing to share what I've used if you want. But yeah, TerraNotes specifically probably just because yeah, there's nuances and usury laws and all that stuff. You're just like, yeah, maybe I don't.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I mean, every
Yeah.
state's a little bit different out there on some stuff. So good stuff. And this has been great, Jake. Awesome. Thank you for coming on here and sharing your story and your
Yeah,
passion
man.
and your background and where you're headed with this stuff. I think it's you provide definitely a valuable tool in helping people get a bigger piece of their note investing pie.
Yeah, man.
So
Well, I appreciate you. Yeah, I think keep doing what you're doing too. Like I said, and I've heard you talk too, and I've honestly thought this, like who's going to carry this torch forward if note investing, when the Eddie Speeds and these guys are going to be, you know, on their way out. Well, who's going to carry that forward? So
Well, I haven't done it as long as Mr. Speed, or as we like to call him,
yeah.
Ed Fast here. But he's been around for a while, and he's got his niche. I have my niche when it comes to mostly buying institutional debt, or especially the non-performing side, as I say,
Yeah.
the sexy side of real estate. But I've been around. We've been doing this. I bought my first note in 2007.
Wow.
So 18 years since I bought my first note. And we've been teaching people how to do this since 2010 is when we hosted my first ever workshop with 18 people in Austin. So
That's
the beauty
awesome.
of it, beauty of it is notes aren't going away. There's
No.
some things taking place legislation wise and other things like that, or states have a little bit different license stuff. If you're in the land notes or you're non-residential, non-owner occupied stuff, you've got a little bit more flexibility in what you can use and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But don't make the mistake. I can remember my buddy Mark Gold, who used to own American Home Recovery Fund out of LA back in the day.
Yeah.
And he had this huge spreadsheet dry erase board, and he put little stickies on there. I remember when one sticky fell, it was on a tax bill that needed to be paid. He lost a $50,000 investment because the sticky note to pay the taxes fell behind,
Oh, wow.
and him trying to do that himself. So
Jesus.
we need something that's easier. There's a few out there. This one, guys, is quality, easy to use, and you've got a knowledgeable note investor behind it to help you make it simple. And as we always like to say, keep it simple, stupid. So go out there,
Exactly.
take some action, and get signed up for Terra Notes today. Jake, thank you so much for coming on the Note Closure Show. What's the best way for folks to get a hold of you? LinkedIn, just go to the website there, or what?
Yeah, you can reach out to me. Just Jake at Terra Notes is easy. And then yeah, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, all those things. I'm not the most active. I need to be better about it. I need to get, some stuff out there, and I plan on it because I really do want to help people. Like I said, not only in the note investing space, but just give people more autonomy and freedom stuff in their lives. And I've been able to achieve that through land and notes, and I want the same for other folks. And so I would love to just pay that forward. And so I need to start putting some more stuff out into the world.
No problem. We'll talk about that later. Maybe we can help you.
You got
All
it.
right. Good stuff. All right, everybody. That's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Note Closure. Check it out, terranotes.com/we close notes, and get started today. Make your life easier instead of being so harder. I know you guys are often on budget mindsets, but here's a great way to get started on an affordable product that's going to work well for you, with you helping you grow your note portfolio. And so go out, take some action, everybody, and we'll see you at the top. Bye, everybody. Hey, real estate investors, this is Scott Carson. I'm known across the country as the Note Guy, and I've been an active note investor focused primarily on the niche of non-performing notes, distressed mortgage notes, and residential commercial properties for almost 20 years now. My company is WeCloseNotes.com. And I know there's a lot of different things when it comes to the note world. Are you buying performing notes? Are you buying owner finance notes? Are you buying institutional debt like I would focus on? Are you buying first, seconds, contract for deeds? There's a lot of questions. And it can be very confusing about what you can or cannot do. So one of the great things that we've hosted for the last couple of years that we do on just about a regular monthly basis is we host our one-day class called Note Weekend. If you go to noteweekend.com, you can register for a free 3.5 hour class. We'll talk to you and share with you how you find, fund, and flip non-performing notes. And yes, you can buy non-performing notes from banks, hedge funds, and a variety of different hard money lenders out there for your own portfolio. No, you don't have to have millions of dollars to dive into the non-performing note game. We've got students that have bought plenty of deals with 25, 30 grand, getting their ball rolling, using their self-directed IRA, who are tired of dealing with toilets, tenants, trash outs, tired of battling contractors and GCs to get properties rehabbed. We all know the market is changing. And while it may not be like 2008, 9, and 10 again, we do see a lot of distressed debt out there on both the residential and the commercial side. So if you're thinking about diving into the note game, becoming a note investor, a lien lord, as you like to say, versus a landlord, or you just want to figure out what it is about the sexy side of real estate in the note space, well, check it out, noteweekend.com. Doesn't cost you anything. We host it live, usually the first or second Saturday of each month. You can go today, register at the website, noteweekend.com, register for the next live class that we host. You'll get sent a replay of the previous class so you can start learning about the note business today. No questions asked, no credit card needed. This is a great way for you to dip your toes in the water and see if it's warm. Because I guarantee going through our one-day class, you want to dive into the deep end and become a note investor. So check it out, noteweekend.com. You can also go to our website, weclosenotes.com. Check out our podcast. Check out our #1 YouTube channel. We are here to help support you Whether you're an experienced investor or you're brand new to investing, Note Weekend is a great place for you to get the ball rolling. People often say we cover more in our 3-hour class than most people cover in their 3-day class. So check it out. Love to have you be part of our Note family. But get signed up today at noteweekend.com. Thanks and have a great day.